David O. Russell's movie, Amsterdam, is in theaters today. It is about a trio of friends who survive World War I, but not unscathed. They meet a nurse played by Margot Robbie. Christian Bale and John David Washington are play the two lead male characters. Christian Bale's character loses an eye and is brutally scarred with a back injury. John David Washington's character is also scarred. He's got a scar on his chin, and he's also covered in scars from the war. Margot Robbie meets them as a nurse at this hospital in Europe, and they all become fast friends. Fast friends. This leads to a plot that takes place. So this is sort of the backstory. The plot takes place in the present day over a series of murders, and is someone being set up.
Present day by 1933.
Yeah, present day in the 1930s, but you see the how they became friends in Amsterdam, where they did drugs, they hung out, there was illicit sex. They lived a life of artists. They were Philistines, so to speak. And now they have to deal with effectively a murder mystery set in the 1930s with gumshoe detectives on their tail and whatnot. And this is where things begin to go awry. You would think from the trailer that this is a delightful, fanciful heist film. They kind of make it look like it's a heist film, right? Like they're trying to pull something off. It's not that. And I want to get into spoilers at the end of this, because they did something that I thought was just so obnoxious that I hated this film. I hated this movie for a number of reasons. One of the biggest reasons was John David Washington just acts like his performance is like he's just today. He's putting no effort whatsoever in trying to root it. Like Christian Bale is like, I am going 1,000% into this, because he's sort of a little off from his injuries. He's addicted to drugs. He's a doctor that self-prescribes, and he is unhinged in his performance. This is when Christian Bale plays a part, he's different in every role. I've come to the unfortunate conclusion that John David Washington is pretty much John David Washington in anything he plays, whether it's Tenet or Black Klansman or this movie. Fine actor, but he put no effort into this performance. He literally is, if you look at those three movies, he's the same in every movie. Someone's got to tell him, like, look, dude, could you at least, just put a little effort into making people think you're not you? Margot Robbie,
watch your dad's movies and do that.
And then Margot Robbie is this sort of unhinged, like super ultra feminist in the 1930s nurse who is an artist, and she's hanging out with these guys. And John David Washington's character is her boyfriend, or kind of boyfriend. They don't really call it anything, and it's like the three of them were acting in three different movies, and the only one that seems to have gotten the clue is Christian Bale. Christian Bale is his character, the way he plays his character is great. He's just unhinged, bizarre. He seems like he's from that era. He put effort into even his look. Margot Robbie and John David Washington, they're acting in two different movies. So the fact that this trio are the leads, we're already in a bad spot. Before I get into spoilers about Amsterdam, I want to hear what your thoughts were. Obviously you loved it.
I did not hate it. I mean, I didn't hate it. I will say it very much, it's 2 hours, 15 minutes, and it feels like 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours. I think I'm starting to realize that, as a critic and as a guy who has to watch movies professionally, once that movie starts, you're kind of locked in, and you realize, even if I wanted to, I couldn't walk out. And so, I appreciated what I saw. I didn't necessarily love what I saw, but I didn't, I didn't hate it. Yeah. Infinite Main talks about Alex, who wrote our review for it, 3 out of 10. I just kind of got used to it. And I'm going with faint praise here. And I just really do wish it had picked itself up. I was okay with the performances, but again, not blown away by it. But I think it's the ending that what we really want to talk about, and I think we have very different takes on that ending.
Okay, well, I just think that like David O. Russell swung for the fences, wanted to say something profound, and failed miserably.
Mhm.
I was just like, I was really just annoyed by it.
Well, I mean, I
So
think part of it is also he uncovered something that I never had seen, some actual footage of kind of a conspiracy that took place, where America could have basically gone the wrong way in World War II. And I was kind of fascinated by the fact that that might have been real. And yeah, so keep going. I'm not.
okay, well, we're gonna get into spoilers. We're going to get into spoilers here. So now is your chance to bow out on Amsterdam. We're going to not necessarily ruin the ending, but talk about an aspect of the ending.
Mhm.
So what this film leans into is there's a character played by Robert De Niro that a group of elites want to pay him a lot of money to a foundation to give a speech, but he has to read the exact speech word for word. And this speech is a speech basically uh, advocating for a political view of the world that may have sympathized pre-war, pre-Nazi Germany.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I think it was more even tearing down the Constitution
Right.
and bypassing elections and basically installing a fascist dictator as the ruler of America.
Yeah. So they want to pay De Niro, who is this decorated war veteran, war general. He's a general, was a general in the war, and they want to like have him be like a sort of face person, a figure for this movement. And so these elites, played by Michael Shannon and Mike Myers. Mike Myers is actually very good.
Mhm.
He's Mike Myers really in like a bit part with he's very good. He was good.
And I appreciate that he didn't go full Mike Myers.
He didn't go full Mike Myers. He just played
Played the role.
an oddball, right? So they want to pay Robert De Niro's character to give this speech. The general, he and there's conflict about it. Like he's basically being propped up by people behind him to be a figurehead for a movement to effectively overthrow the United States. What you find out at the end of the movie is this happened. There was someone
There was a general.
There was a general that this is based on a true events. I don't want to say a true story, but true events that occurred. But of course, what do? They want to tie it directly to present day politics. And the crowd I was with, I saw it at the Grove in Los Angeles. They all applauded at the end. And I just sort of like, it was tepid applause at the end. I just kind of like put my head down, walked out with my buddy Cody, and I'm like, he looks at me and goes, "Did you like that?" I was like, "Fuck no." I thought it was awful. So the fact that it's just like we're being lectured that we're being told effectively, hey, there could be other people in our midst today that are trying to do this. David O. Russell thinking he's profound, and it's like, you had to go there. This thing looked like kind of a fun, quirky heist movie, set in the early 1900s, and it's another lecture from Hollywood. And I found it so off-putting. I walked out hating the movie. Cannot recommend it. It's gotten mixed to negative reviews. I don't know where you're at, Alan.
Yeah, I'll talk about the ending. It's weird, but okay, so when we're not doing big Hollywood films, we're doing indie films, and I've been watching a bunch of indie documentaries about about basically this idea of fascism, and where the world is going at today. And I didn't really feel like the messaging was. I don't feel like it was anti-American at all. I think it definitely dealt with fascism. It dealt with, it was pinning it on the Aryan race, the Aryan nation. But at the same time, the core of it was these people, this cabal, so to speak. They were basically rich corporate dudes. And in watching a lot of these documentaries, it's essentially what's kind of going on today, in the sense of, I did an interview with the former Greek Minister of Finance, and so he talked about how banks are basically owning Greece, and how banks, how countries that are getting more and more in debt are being swayed by, the banks and the monetary system. So I'm getting really conspiracy theory here, but I felt kind of I felt like that was happening here, in the sense of, who's really running the country, and who really wants to take it over. And so I took a very, I think ultimately, I don't think you could say this was a Trumpian message at all, or against Trump. It was, I'm just dancing around the conspiracy here, but there are sinister things going on, and yeah, let's just leave it at that, and give myself a chance to rethink what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, here's a comment from Luther. Let me guess, MAGA. I don't think it's that. I honestly don't. I think maybe he's going after, after the left in a way. I don't know. Maybe you see it a different way. You're muted.
Sorry, I did not see it that way. I think this is a direct comment on Trump.
See, I don't.
MAGA Republicans, no.
I don't. Other than the fact that they're it takes place in 1933, so of course, white supremacy and the Aryan nation are the ones involved in it. But in terms of the systems behind it, the systems that led up to this, to the mystery that is going on here, I wouldn't necessarily liken it to. I always see politics as a battle for power. And that there are forces there that have vested interests in the extremes on both sides, and creating this division, this clash between it. And you saw it there between, the black soldiers and the and the Aryans who are trying to instate a white nation at that point. I didn't see the Trumpian aspect to it.
I thought it was very clear. It was a very clear comment on present day politics, and someone.
Well, yeah, I mean that. I just don't think it's the side you think it is.
Well, look.
Yeah.
It just seemed obvious to me that was the comment.